Hello and welcome back to the Grape Explorer. Today we're going to be taking a look at the WSET systematic approach to tasting, specifically at levels 2 and 3, and going through some of the differences to help you understand if you're thinking about doing level 2 or you've done it and you want to step up to level 3. What does that mean in terms of experience, how you categorise wines, the types of characteristics you need to list, and some of the differences. The main difference visually is that this one's half the size of this one, but that doesn't necessarily mean there's half as much information to grab, and we'll go into the specifics in this video. If you're new to this channel, welcome. I'm the Grape Explorer. On this channel I do wine education with a focus on WSET, so if you're interested in wines, consider subscribing. Now, the way that I've lined this out is I've got a few slides that I've created which are going to go through level 2 tasting and then level 3 tasting, and you'll see what level 3 additionally brings to the table in terms of how you need to be able to communicate wine as you're tasting it. The tasting cards themselves are actually very similar in terms of the categories. We'll go through those as we go through the video. I think the main difference between the two tasting cards is actually the number of descriptors that you get on level 3. It starts to go into a bit more detail about the different types of aroma and flavour descriptors by comparison to level 2, but there are some differences as well. Now, we're going to go through these in the order that you would taste a wine, and that means we're going to start off with the appearance. Now, the appearance at level 2 is all about categorising the intensity of the wine and the colour of the wine. And you'll see there the intensity ranges from pale to deep, and the colour, dependent on the type of wine that you've got. For white, it's lemon gold amber. For rosé, it's pink, pink orange or orange. And for red, it's purple, ruby, garnet or tawny. Now, you can probably notice there are some gaps on this particular slide, and that's because when I throw in level 3 for appearance, you can see that there are a couple of additional requirements here, as well as some additions to those existing requirements. So at level 3, you need to talk a little bit about the clarity, whether the wine is clear or hazy. One of the other big differences here is in the colour, and actually the spectrum of colours that you're expected to go through at level 3. You do notice some changes. So where at level 2 we just had lemon gold amber for the white wines, you'll see we've then thrown in lemon green and brown for white. You'll notice that pink orange has been changed to salmon at level 3, and you'll also notice that for red wines we then look at brown as a category of colour as well. And then at level 3, if you want to, you can put some other observations about the wine that you're tasting. Not a specific requirement, but just good practice to go one by one through all of these requirements, get you used to the systematic approach to tasting, get you used to writing your notes in a structured format. So that's the appearance, that's the look of the wine. Now, of course, we're going to move on to the smell of the wine, more commonly known as the nose. Now, the nose at level 2 is all about figuring out the intensity of the aromas as well as some of those characteristics. So you would say whether the intensity is light, medium or pronounced, and then you'd start to talk about some of those aroma characteristics, some of those primary fruit aromas, the secondary winemaking aromas, or the tertiary aging aromas. And that's all you need to do at level 2, but level 3 adds a little bit more complexity into that. And it's at level 3 where you actually start to go through more descriptive words and against a number of subheadings. So you need to talk about the condition of the wine, whether it's clean or unclean, and that's really saying whether the wine's okay or whether it's faulty. And then when it comes to the intensity, you move on from saying light, medium, pronounced to introduce medium minus and medium plus into your lexicon of wine tasting. And the reason for that is you're starting to distinguish specific styles of wines. It's really at level 3 that saying light, medium or pronounced isn't enough. You know, you can't say light, medium, you have to land on one or the other. But you're starting to refine your own abilities here, and so saying something is light or medium potentially is a bit too broad, which is why we start moving into these medium minus and medium plus classifications for aroma intensity. Now, your aroma characteristics isn't going to be any different. You still need to have the ability to call out primary, secondary and tertiary aromas. But you're going to start to be thinking about the development of the wine as well, just based on what you're getting from the nose. So you might want to comment whether the wine is a youthful wine, whether it's developing, whether you feel it's fully developed, or whether it's tired and actually past its best. So you can see there is a marked step up from level 2 into level 3. You're adding further information, but you're actually refining certain areas of information as well, particularly around that aroma intensity. And you're going to see this refinement carrying on as we move into the next section, which is the taste of wine, or some people would refer to as the palate. So taking us back to our level 2 approach to tasting first, we still go through a number of different characteristics on the palate: sweetness, acidity, tannin, alcohol, body, the intensity of the flavours, some of the characteristics of those flavours, as well as the finish. And at level 2, we're very much thinking about this from a low, medium, high perspective, particularly where we've got the acidity, the tannin, the alcohol, the body, the intensity, the finish. You know, it's either low, medium, high, although it's referred to as different things: short, medium, long, light, medium, pronounced. You know, we are talking about 3 categorizations of each of those things. But again, when it comes to level 3, we're adding another level of complexity to that. And so what you'll notice is we're starting to go through a number of different categorizations, which I've highlighted here in green. So sweetness goes from 4 different categorizations to 6. Acidity goes from 3 categorizations to 5. And where previously on the nose cards we went from saying medium to medium minus and medium plus, that's exactly what you're doing at WSET level 3. You're having to really start to refine your assessment of the wine, which comes with experience, of course, but you're really starting to have to refine the assessment. And it's in a good way, because it's giving you more options to use against the wine. It goes back to that point I was making earlier where you're saying, oh, it's not quite low, it's not quite medium, it's somewhere in between. At level 3 you have that categorization, which in some ways makes level 2 that little bit difficult, because something low, medium or high is not a lot of choice. But level 3 gets you to refine your understanding of how you assess a wine. So going back to the acidity there, we would say medium minus or medium plus. Same for the tannins. One of the ones that stays the same though is alcohol. We either say it's low, medium or high at both level 2 and level 3. That doesn't change. But for body, we do go back to this medium minus, medium plus. And then one of the things you've noticed there, which wasn't on the previous card, is mousse, and the delicate, creamy and aggressive styles of the mousse in a particular wine. And when we're talking about mousse, we're actually talking about sparkling wines. Then you go back to your flavour intensities. We're back to our medium minus, medium plus. And then the finish, the same. Refining that categorisation, adding additional choices into how we categorise the finish. And then finally we come on to our conclusion. You know, we've looked at the wine, we've got the nose of the wine, the palate of the wine. What did we think of the wine overall? At level 2, this is quite simple. We go through a choice of saying whether something was poor, acceptable, good, very good or outstanding. But at level 3, we also assess the quality, but we include faulty into that. But the other thing that we do that's really important is we talk about the wine's level of readiness. Did we think, having tasted it, the wine was too young? Did we think it was suitable for drinking now but would benefit from some aging? Did we think we had to drink it now because it wasn't going to be suitable for any further aging? Or did we actually think it was past its best and it was too old? And so whilst there are some differences in both levels 2 and 3, both of them give a really good grounding in your understanding about how to approach a wine. And of course at level 3 the big difference is you are expected to be examined on your tasting abilities. And so to have those additional categorizations as you move through the approach to tasting is actually really beneficial. And for you as someone who's a student of wine, that's going to really be able to demonstrate your knowledge and your ability when it comes to tasting, to pick out the difference between medium minus and medium, to say whether something is medium plus or pronounced. Those fine differences are what are going to make you a great taster at level 3. But what I think level 2 does, because there's no exam, is it gets you into the habit of tasting wines properly. It gets you thinking about the qualities of the wine, what's important in the wine, the characteristics of that wine. So both of these serve as a really good approaches to wine tasting. And if you're looking to step up from 2 to 3, the experience that you've gained at 2 is really going to help you on your next step as you go through that wine journey. I hope taking a look at WSET systematic approach to tasting today has been helpful for you. Really keen to hear from you as always, whether you're a student of level 2 or a student of level 3. Your thoughts on the approach to tasting. Do you find it really helpful? Do you think that there should be any changes in the future? Let me know in the comments section below as always. For now, I'm the Grape Explorer. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Cheers.